Buongiorno, amici. Okay, that's the end of my Italian. I don't speak any Italian, but I thought, might be appropriate since I started the last one, in Spanish, whatever. So, moving on to Italy. Now, I'm gonna break this up into two videos because there was lots of crap that happened, and I don't want it to be too terribly long. So, we took an overnight train from Barcelona to Torino. The train actually ended in Milan, but obviously, like, you can get off at whatever stop that you need, supposedly. When we took our train from Lisbon to Madrid, it was great. It was air conditioned, and we had our own little compartment together. It was fantastic. We had a good time. Well, I don't know if this is just Italian trains, but maybe it is. I'm not sure. They split up guys and girls, and we didn't know that until we actually were getting on the train. And they said, oh, no, girls over here, guys over there. And I think they do that for women travelers that might be traveling alone so that they feel a little bit safer, which we totally understand, but we were just kind of bummed. So, my brother and Jared had a cabin all to themselves because they had no extra people in there. Dodger and I had to share, which the girls that we shared with were perfectly nice. There was an Italian girl, and then there was a Catalan girl from Spain. But they each had the largest suitcases ever, and they were super heavy, and so we could not get them up. There's like a little storage space for your bags. We could not get them up there, so they had to like remain in the aisleway the whole time, which was really ridiculous. We were sunburnt really bad, so we were all super grumpy. It was air conditioned in the train, but when you're sunburnt and you're like radiating heat, you're freezing cold, but then to put something on is like creepy crawly. Oh, we were so miserable. It was our own fault, but it kind of sucked. The train itself, the train ride was fine. The next morning is when we started to have problems. So they tell you that they're going to come wake you up a half an hour before your stop, which our stop was in Torino. And we were like, okay, that's great. So I set my alarm before that even, so we would, know, for sure be awake. There were going to be no problems, right? Well, we were awake, and a lot of these trains, not just overnight trains, but a lot of trains just stop arbitrarily. Like, we're not really sure why they stop. Like, is there a cow in the tracks? We're just not really sure. And so we got used to like the lurching, like kind of stop for a minute and then start going again. So we're, waiting around like, oh, it's about time. Our stop should be here. I have to mention, we were also really far back on the train. So whenever we did stop in an actual station, we couldn't see the platform. Our car was far enough back. So when the train actually stopped in Torino, we didn't know because they didn't announce that we were in Torino. We couldn't see the platform, and the train literally was only stopped for 2 minutes, and that doesn't seem like enough time to like let people off the train with luggage and then get going again. So we just thought it was another one of those arbitrary stops, and we're hanging out. I'm like, I think we should have gotten off the train by now. And I'm starting to have a little bit of a Amanda panic attack building up. So then I couldn't find anybody that worked there. I was trying to find someone to ask. I asked a random passenger, do you know when we get to Torino? And they said, oh, that was Torino. We go to Milano now. So then I really am having a panic attack. My brother went with me to try and find someone that worked on the train. They were all like collected in a dining car or something. And I'm asking for help. I'm basically saying, can you please let us off the train? We need to get off the train like right now. And they're like, oh no, we go to Milano. And I actually did have to breathe into a paper bag this time. I was freaking out because Milan was another 2 hours away, and the train was already, surprise, running late. So I must have been turning purple or something because the people started looking at me like I might actually explode, and my brother was kind of looking at them like she might actually explode, so you need to do something. And so they said, we'll fix it. I said, just go back to your cabin. So I went back, and I'm like freaking out, breathing into a paper bag. The really nice girls that stayed in a cabin with Dodger and I let us, one of them had a phone. They let us use the phone to call because we were picking up a rental car in Italy. And so I had to call and say, we're going to be late. which this time it did matter because the place we were staying, which I also called, was a hotel. And it was a good thing we called because they had also had a computer glitch, and they lost our reservation. So we luckily got the last available room that was originally what we were supposed to have. If I had not called, I don't know what would have happened. I might have just passed out and been unconscious for days. I don't know. So the conductor or whoever was helping us decided that they were going to let us off the train at the next stop, which is what I wanted. And it was like 20 minutes past our stop. And they were going to let us use our passes without stamping it again to go back the other direction. And they also found someone to babysit us when we got there. They were kind of snickering at us like we were dumb, which, you know, hello, 2 minutes to get off the train. That's not very long. So we were nicknamed the Barcelonetas because we had come from Barcelona, and we were the crazy American kids that didn't know how to navigate a train. So they had this Italian woman that was like 2 feet tall and 4 feet wide, making sure that we got on the correct train. So we got on the correct train, went back the other direction. We get to the train station in Torino. Crisis not over yet because we were a little jumpy. If you recall, Dodger had been robbed in Madrid. So even though we had a really good time in Barcelona, we got our stuff back when we were in Madrid, we were still jumpy. And so it really didn't make us feel very good when we get to the train station in Torino, and we immediately, our eyes just zoomed right in on these teenagers that were very obviously a little gang of pickpocketers. My brother actually saw one kid reach into a lady's bag. It was like a bag with a flap, you know, reach in under the flap, and we were like really bold at this point. We were super ballsy because we were like, oh no, you are not going to steal from us or anybody around us. So my brother locked eyes with the kid and just stared at him, and the kid like took his hand back out of the bag and just kind of turned around and walked away. My brother was like, yeah, that's right. And so we just kind of had that attitude, but we were really frustrated. Like, really? We just got here and there's already like pickpocketing right in front of us. And because my brother like locked eyes, I think they kind of like picked us out of the crowd and were like, we better watch these guys right back. Took us forever to figure out how we were going to get to the rental car place because there was like a trolley system instead of an underground, and it was kind of weird, and we hadn't got the hang of like all the public transport yet. So this really nice old man helped us out. We got our tickets for the trolley. We get on this cute little trolley, and one of the pickpocket kids followed us onto the trolley. I was really angry at this point. I was like, no, this is not happening. So in our bold new attitude fashion, I asked a girl standing next to me if she spoke English, and she said, well, of course I do. And so, of course she does, I don't know. And so I said, well, what is the word for thief in Italian? And so she told me, and she said it was ladrone. So we weren't all standing together. We had to spread out on this really crowded car. And so I looked over at our, my family, and I was like, hey guys, the word for thief is ladrone in Italian. And so they were like, oh, they picked up what I was doing, and we were saying it really loudly to each other. And then we all just like looked at the kid. He was probably like 17, and he had this funny look on his face, and he got off at the next stop. Woohoo! It worked. So be bold. Be bold. It works. Got to the rental car place. Problems. I'm gonna tell you, like, we had an okay time in Italy, but there were so many problems that it put a big dark cloud hanging over our time there. There were just so many things that went wrong. So forgive me if there's a lot of negativity in these Italy videos. It was beautiful, most places anyway, and we saw really cool things, but there was just a lot of issues while we were there. So please don't think that I hate Italy or anything. It's just we didn't have the greatest time when we were there. So we get to the rental car place, and the woman behind the desk was crappy attitude, Italy, bad. I don't know, it was not good. She was trying to charge me the full price when I had paid a deposit on the car, which was like a $70 deposit. And we argued for a while, and then she finally relented because I'm persistent, and gave us our car. And I was like, yeah, we'll see if they charge me extra when we actually drop the car off. And they didn't, so it was fine. we were grumpy. We were really grumpy because we had to walk really far to get to the rental car place after we got off the trolley too soon. I don't know what the trend was with that. And then of course dealing with the hassle. It took a long time too, and we were wasting sightseeing time. We were supposed to be getting in the car, checking into the hotel, because the hostel was like just a couple bucks cheaper in the hotel, so we did a hotel, and then driving up to a town called Aosta, which Dodger and Jared have family from there, and so it was like a heritage journey. It was so late by the time we got the car, we found the hotel, and we checked in, and we were just so tired and hungry, and we were like, you know what, we're not going to make it, because it was like an hour drive up to Aosta. Not a good thing. So we just decided, sadly, to not go. Sad face. But we ate food. Of course we ate food. We found a store. We got some groceries. We did some laundry. We used every towel in the bathroom in our hotel, because we had been using our like travel towels. They're really thin and they're awesome for traveling, but sometimes you just want a big towel, like a real towel, terry cloth, fluffy. And we all took crazy long showers, and it was air conditioned in the hotel, and the woman at the front desk was super nice. We were just like, oh, this is how it should be, right? We left the next morning. We didn't stay very long, but I think we called home. I think we made a few phone calls home, really short phone calls, just to tell everyone we were okay. Ate breakfast the next morning for free at the hotel, and then took off for Florence. Driving, I'm going to do a separate driving video, because there's just too much to say about it. So I'll kind of skip over the details of driving. It was crappy. But we had a nice car, and it was air conditioned. We were digging on the air conditioning. We get to Florence. It was really expensive for gas and toll booths on the way to Florence. There was a toll booth outside of Florence that you had to pay €24 at, and we were upset about that because we didn't know about it. And then we could not find a place to park, and I was driving at this point, and so I was just like, because it's really, really hard to drive in Italy, and it's really hard to drive in a lot of these really small old towns where you're driving on a street and then suddenly it turns into an alleyway. So we found a place to park that we had to pay another €24 for. Found our hostel. Died in the hostel. We were like, oh, finally, getting to sleep, whatever. Went to a flea market that was really, really awesome. A lot of things were closed, actually, because I think it was a Sunday. I don't remember. So no museums and stuff were open. So we just wandered around and shopped, basically. Really cool flea market that had stalls and rows of stalls of things like crafts and everything, and had a little encounter with a really muscular, large Italian man that thought Dodger was pretty cute, and she and I were looking at some keychains or something, and all of a sudden we hear this, ooh, is free for you, and we look and he's pointing at Dodger, and she's like, oh, we gotta go right now. He was trying to flirt, but it was frightening because he was like huge. It was bad. So we just had a good time wandering around, bought a cool bottle of wine, ate some food, saw some really cool things, big giant church. I cannot remember what it's called, Santa Maria Novella. I'm not sure if that's correct, so please don't verbally curse me if I have it wrong. But a problem in Florence, I got sick. I got a little bit sick, cold sick, I couldn't breathe. And I think, honestly, it was going from serious humidity to air conditioning, freezing cold air conditioning, because we were going back and forth, and it was drying out my sinuses. And so I had a full-blown yucky, awful, I can't breathe, I can't sleep cold. It was awful. I was really upset because I didn't have any of the things that I usually use to make myself better. I do a lot of home remedy stuff, and so I was kind of miserable, blowing my nose like crazy, and drinking lots of orange juice. In fact, I didn't actually go to, there was some farmer's market or something that everybody went to the next morning, and I just stayed back at the hostel and slept because I was pretty miserable, and I was really bummed because it's no fun to be sick when you're on vacation or when you're traveling, especially when you can't have the comforts that you're usually used to. So that was kind of a bummer. And the next day after we stayed that one night in Florence, we took off and made our way to Rome. And I think I will cut the video off here because it's probably been a while already. And there's lots more to talk about Rome and the places we saw on the drive down. So see you next time.